It started off just like any other quiet Tuesday in the small village of Dalton, Illinois. A regular board meeting, or so it seemed, until Mayor Tiffany Henyard took the mic completely solo. No board members, quorum, just her standing alone under the spotlight. What followed wasn't government business, it was theater, a one-woman show. "This is not a Q&A," she snapped. "This is me delivering my statement." And with that, the bizarre political soap opera that is Dalton found its lead actress. And that was that the real storm was already brewing behind the curtain. Henyard wasn't just dodging external heat this time, the threat was internal, and the dagger, it came from her own camp. A leaked video reportedly released by people who once had her back started gaining traction online. Some are calling it the betrayal of the year. Others say it's long overdue justice. No matter where you stand, one thing's clear: it shook her administration to the core. And trust me, the chaos was only warming up. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because honestly, who saw this twist coming? Appointing a new village administrator without board approval, hiring her personal attorney, and bringing him in to reprimand an empty room during a canceled meeting. Tiffany's behavior has gone from bold to blatantly reckless. This isn't leadership, it's unraveling in real time. And if you think that's an exaggeration, just wait, it gets way wilder now. The Illinois Attorney General has stepped in Kwame Raoul's office, ruled that Dalton violated the Open Meetings Act not once, but twice under Henyard's watch. Why? Because the public was literally locked outdoors, shut, seating restricted, residents barred from entering. And the explanation? A blue marker note calling her and her mother losers. Yes, blue marker, the kicker. The note was found after the meeting ended. Sounds like a setup. The AG thought so too and called her response excessive and unjustified. But that's Tiffany's leadership in a nutshell: impulsive, extreme, and wildly expensive. Speaking of which, after months of resistance, investigators finally got access to her township credit card records. The total? Expenses in just 5 months. And that's just the township. Add Dalton's charges and the number blasts past $100,000. All labeled conference travel. First-class flights, upscale hotels. And somehow, it's all supposed to be part of public service. Let's talk Keith Freeman, her former right-hand man, the one who knew everything. When she suspected he was cooperating with investigators, she tried to terminate him immediately. But here's the twist: the board never signed off. Technically, Freeman was still the administrator, still on the inside, still watching, and rumor has it, he's got receipts proof that can't be swept under the rug. Some say he already flipped, which would explain why Tiffany was scrambling to kick him out. But like most of her plans, it failed spectacularly. Now imagine being you stay quiet, but let's not paint him as innocent. Freeman himself is facing federal bankruptcy fraud charges. He's also been accused of punishing staff who wouldn't follow Tiffany's agenda. So when things got ugly, she ditched him. Classic survival move, but this time it backfired. Big. Since then, lawsuits have started rolling in. One woman says she was fired for not acting like Tiffany's puppet. Another says the mayor blocked his business license out of spite. And just when you thought the drama peaked, enter Dwayne Thrash, former maintenance supervisor. He's suing now, claiming he was pushed out after refusing to help her replace a school board attorney with someone more compliant. Wrongful termination, civil rights violations. It's a full-on legal avalanche. And what's the pattern here? Lawsuit, scandal, betrayal, repeat. Every few weeks some new headlines. And now, even her own people are done, including the one name nobody expected, Carmen Carroll. Once a loyal member of the Thornton Township Board, Carroll is now speaking out, and she's not pulling any punches. "I'm going public," she said, "because I believe Tiffany Henyard has behaved in unethical and predatory ways." And she backed it up. She exposed what she saw behind closed doors: allegations of Tiffany manipulating employees, vendors, even residents, all to prop up a fake image of success. An image paid for by the same taxpayers now begging for answers. And honestly, Carl might be onto something, because Tiffany's own words are starting to come back and haunt her. In a recent outburst, Tiffany Henyard proclaimed, "That is what all the hate is about. Your supermayor became too powerful, too fast. It might have been laughable if it weren't so disturbing." You have to wonder, does she actually believe her own hype? But things took a darker turn when she didn't just deny Carmen Carroll's accusations. She ridiculed her, dubbed her Lion Carroll, and brushed off serious claims like it was playground gossip. But in trying to dismiss her, Tiffany confirmed what people suspected. Carmen was in the room, in the meetings, behind the curtain, witnessing everything. She even recalled a moment when Henyard tried pressuring her to pin the blame on someone else during the foundation scandal. Carmen said no, and that's when the walls started cracking. Another ex-employee says she was fired just for refusing to cover things up. One man claims Tiffany blocked his business license just to get back at him. And then there's Dwayne Thrash, the former maintenance manager. He says he was ousted for not playing along with her political theater. He's now suing wrongful termination, civil rights violations, the works. The pattern, brutal, is now a legal war zone, scandal after scandal, lawsuit after lawsuit. But instead of stepping up to lead through the chaos, it's all distractions, smokescreens, excuses wrapped in crisis. But none of it hit as hard as this. Not in lawsuit, not an indictment, not even an FBI raid. The real shock came from within her inner circle, when Carmen Carroll broke her silence. A former loyalist who had stood by Tiffany's side for years, Carmen finally drew the line. "I'm speaking out," she said, "because I believe Tiffany Henyard has acted unethically and taken advantage of people." She laid it all out. How Tiffany built a facade of smoke and mirrors to make herself look successful, while taxpayers footed the bill and Dalton residents were left in the dark. And now, the whispers have become a roar. At a recent meeting, right as Tiffany launched into one of her signature rants, a voice from the crowd shattered the room. "We all know you are robbing us." The tension, instant. The silence, deafening. But Tiffany, she didn't back down. Instead, she leaned in, claiming she was chosen by God, a rare breed. It didn't come off as powerful, it came off as pure delusion, a mayor slipping further into fantasy, unable to recognize the fallout happening all around her. This wasn't strength, this was a meltdown, live and unfiltered. So where does that leave us now? Federal agents are locked in, zeroed in on Dalton like a heat-seeking missile. The lawsuits are piling higher than the deficit. Her inner circle is collapsing. Whistleblowers are lining up. And the people of Dalton, they've had enough. But Tiffany, still clinging to the spotlight, desperate to preserve the illusion, but the mask has cracked. The show is over. Pivot can undo the damage. Her empire wasn't built on leadership. It was built on fear and flash. And now it's crumbling, betrayal by betrayal. So tell me, are we watching Tiffany Henyard's final act? Or is there one last twist left? Because here's the big news. I'm officially running for mayor of Dalton this February. This town is heading into a storm, and someone needs to step up and face it. Because if we don't...
And if you think that sounds wild, buckle up. The Illinois Attorney General has now jumped into the fray. Kwame Raoul's office confirmed that Dalton violated the open meetings act not once but twice under Tiffany Henyard's watch. The reason? Village Hall was practically barricaded, locked doors, limited seating, and residents flat out blocked from entering. Her justification? A sloppy, handwritten note in blue marker mocking her and her mom. Yes, blue marker. And here's the kicker: it was discovered after the meetings had ended. The AG wasn't having it. Their report slammed the excuse as excessive, paranoid, and completely unjustified. But honestly, that's the blueprint of Henyard's leadership: over-the-top reactions, hyper-control, and reckless spending. Anytime the pressure mounts, she doesn't take accountability. She lashes out, closes ranks, shuts doors, and spends more public money to cover the mess. Now let's talk numbers, because investigators finally got their hands on her township credit card statements. What they found? Staggering. In just 5 months, she racked up $67,000 in travel expenses. And when you combine that with Dalton's spending, the total soared past $100,000, all for so-called conference travel. Translation: luxury hotels, first-class flights, and zero transparency. Now enter Keith Freeman, her former right-hand man. He was inside every room, part of every deal. But when Tiffany suspected he was feeding intel to the feds, she tried to cut him loose. Here's where it gets messy. The board never officially approved his firing. So while Tiffany tried stacking the staff with her loyal picks, Freeman technically still held his title. That meant access. That meant leverage. And according to insiders, that meant receipts, the kind that don't need explanations. But let's not paint Freeman as some white knight. He's neck-deep in his own issues: bankruptcy fraud, staff retaliation, you name it. Still, Tiffany dumped him the second he became inconvenient, tossed him aside without blinking, and it backfired spectacularly. Freeman flipped, and the moment he did, lawsuits started raining down. 3 and counting. All pointing straight back at Henyard's office. Transparency, out the window. Control, gone. The damage. Just getting started. And maybe Carmen. Carol is telling the truth. Because Tiffany's own public rants are now painting a picture darker than any accusation. In one of her most unhinged moments, she declared, "That's what all the hate is about. Your supermare became too powerful, too quick. You'd laugh if it wasn't so disturbing." It's no longer just arrogance. It's the language of someone teetering on the edge, confusing personal power with divine destiny. The real question is, does she believe it? Or is she just desperately trying to convince herself? And it only gets stranger. Instead of answering Carmen's claims, Tiffany mocked, her calling her lion Carl and reducing it all to petty beef. But that dig gave away more than she meant. It confirmed what Dalton residents feared. Carmen was in the room. She saw it all. Heard it all. Even says Henyard asked her to lipen a foundation scandal on someone else. Carmen refused. And from that moment, the whole operation started to fracture. Dalton's not staying quiet anymore. The whispers are now chants. At one recent board meeting, as Tiffany launched into one of her combative monologues, a voice from the audience cut through like thunder. "The people already know you're stealing from them." The room froze. But Tiffany didn't. She leaned deeper into the delusion, calling herself chosen by God, a rare breed, one of a kind. But this wasn't leadership, which is slow-motion collapse caught on camera. A real-time unraveling that no one could look away from. So where do things stand now? Picture it. Federal investigations closing in, lawsuits stacking up, trusted insiders turning against her, and a community that's finally found its voice. And yet, Tiffany keeps clinging to her platform, clinging to an illusion that is already falling apart. The spotlight can't save her. The brand is broken. The story is out. What's left? Just a mess of broken trust, shattered credibility, and an empire built on fear and fiction crumbling with every headline. And now, the big question: are we witnessing the final act of Tiffany Henyard's reign? Or is there an even bigger twist still ahead? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If this deep dive gave you clarity, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around. Because trust, meet this drama. It's not even close to over.